Please be advised that this video is for the sole purpose of entertainment. Any views are purely my own, are subjective and may not necessarily be true. I do, however, do extensive research for all of my videos. All photos have been found on the public domain. I am using them under the fair use and fair dealing guidelines. I urge everybody to do their own research. Well, hello, it's Murky Meg here. It's Monday the 27th of July and this is my third video today, but it's the second part of my take on all the debacle that has gone on with the extracts being released with the Finding Freedom book. So, last video I talked about the fact that Omid Scooby is being a bit dodgy online and whether or not Meghan and Harry had any involvement in the book itself. Articles are coming out because of the extracts blaming the courtiers within Buckingham Palace, saying that they are vipers. I'd just like to note that Lainey Lou, the gossip columnist I shall call her, also uses this term to describe the courtiers as well, vipers. Now, the Daily Mail have reported that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle were jealous of William and Kate getting the best roles, didn't feel supported by the royals and viper courtiers who feared they would eclipse the Queen's popularity. Finding Freedom biography claims. Well, let's take one thing at a time. Courtiers have been alleged to have said that she was a showgirl. Now, that is not a term that us British use, so I think that one has to be used with a pinch of salt. And it's also claimed that the old guard, which Diana famously titled Men in Grey Suits, simply didn't like Meghan. And insiders from Buckingham Palace have hit back and said possibly that would have been the case about 30 years ago, but not these days. They're a lot more flexible. Harry and Meghan's friends/sources of the book claimed that the viper courtiers didn't have their best interests at heart and that Harry and Meghan felt they couldn't be trusted with the work and the ideas that they wanted to bring forward. It's been claimed that she was labelled pushy and difficult, and Buckingham Palace has yet again hit back, saying that her A-list team were the ones that left, and there were a flurry of people leaving quite quickly once Meghan got her feet within the palace walls. Senior Communications Secretary Katrina McKeever left, Personal Assistant Melissa Turabati left, Private Secretary Amy Peckerell left, Comms Secretary Jason Knuff left, Private Secretary Samantha Cohen left, Charitable Director Natalie Campbell left, Female Royal Protection Officer she left, and apparently a night nanny was sacked after just 2 days for improper conduct. There's also the rumour that Kate had to really de-dress Meghan down because Meghan shouted at one of Kate's staff members and she was told under no circumstances. That's just not the way we treat our staff here within the royal family. Now, it's also claimed by Omid Scooby and Caroline Duran that Meghan was ripe for exploitation. She was labelled, as I said, Duchess difficult, and Meghan was not welcomed in the family. They said that nobody made an effort. Kate apparently, according to the book, did not take to Meghan. Meghan expected Kate to take her under her wing and advise her on all things that she needed to learn about the royal life. Well, Kate was a busy mum of 2 at that point and pregnant with Louis. Then shortly after she had Louis and she was a busy mum of 3. Kate sent Meghan flowers, but Meghan felt this just wasn't good enough. She expected Kate to really muck in when all the tabloids turned against Meghan in the run-up to Archie's birth. Well, this is the tricky thing that I find. They say that they were not welcome. They say that they didn't get an invite to Kensington Palace or Anmere Hall, when in fact they actually went on their engagement interview and said, and I quote, that their family couldn't have welcomed her more. And I quote from the engagement interview, William was longing to meet her. So was Catherine. Catherine has been wonderful, as has William. A fantastic support. Those were Harry's words. These are Meghan's words within the interview. His family has been so welcoming. The family has been great, and over the past year and a half, we've just had a nice time getting to know them and progressively helping me feel part of not just the institution, but also part of the family, which has been really, really special. Harry said William was longing to meet her, and so was Catherine. So, being our neighbours, we managed to get in that a couple of, quite a few times now, and Catherine has absolutely, Meghan butts in. She's been wonderful, Harry then says. Amazing, as has William as well. Fantastic support. What on earth changed? How can you say one thing in an interview that was broadcast, it's coming out of your mouth, and then shoot it down? They apparently were upset at Christmas when the Queen had photos of monarchs, previous monarchs, the monarch, and future monarchs with their spouses on display. It was clear as day to see that it was only monarchs and their spouses or future monarchs that were on the table. Yet Harry and Meghan took that as a sign that they were no longer welcome. Harry was also apparently extremely angry when William, once they had been told that Harry was seeing Meghan in early 2017, took him to one side and said, "Take time with this girl." Harry took umbrance with the word "this girl," accusing his brother of being a snob. It now transpired that they had only been dating for 3 months, and this was a long-distance relationship. Then they were engaged. That wasn't announced until 3 months later, so they kept the engagement a secret to the public, which is why probably William sat him down and said, "Please take your time before you rush into anything." Now, if William was called a snob for having his brother's best interests at heart because he knew how quickly Harry reacts to things, why wasn't Meghan's friends also dragged into this? Because they too warned her of this relationship and what it would entail. Can you remember when they were in South Africa when she said, "Oh, my British friends warned me. They said, I'm sure he's wonderful, but are you sure you want to do this?" Double standards. William can warn Harry and Meghan's friends can warn Meghan, but two totally different outcomes. One gets blown out of proportion and one uses the narrative for victimhood. There is one sensational bit about the extracts that is a complete game changer as far as I am concerned. It states that Meghan used Paps previously, prior to meeting Harry, when she was in Suits. This article relates to when they had got back from their Africa trip in the very early stages of the relationship, and Meghan is said to have received a text from a paparazzi photographer who had her number asking whether the relationship was true or not. While Meghan, before she met Harry, had occasionally set up paparazzi photos here and there or let info slip out to the press, she did everything in her power to protect the privacy of their relationship, the book claims. That establishes a pattern that she leaks information and has pap shots set up for her needs. This is why, shocker, the Mail on Sunday is back in court on Wednesday, and they will use this Finding Freedom book as evidence. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the book is coming into the court case. The Mail on Sunday will use it as their defence because it shows behaviour of already leaking stories and setting up pap shots. She's done it before, so, once a leopard, always a leopard. They don't change their spots, do they? I would love to know your thoughts on everything that I have covered in these extensive 2 videos. I hope I've got everything. I went through everything with a fine tooth comb, and no doubt I will probably do more on this as things start to trickle through more, but I would love to know your thoughts on everything that I've covered. Do you think it was Harry and Meghan against against the Viper courtiers. Do you think they welcomed her, the courtiers that is? Do you think there were whispers behind and they have now been accused of being racist and misogynist? Why are they claiming that Meghan was not welcomed into the royal family when we have proof of the engagement interview out of their own mouths that they in fact were welcomed gladly as a couple and happily? Why do you think Harry took umbrage to William taking him to one side saying, take your time with this girl? It was the part that he had a problem with where he said, this girl. Personally, I don't see a problem with that. Maybe he could have got the wording slightly different, but to take your brother aside after a whirlwind 3-month romance that's been long distance, finding out that he's engaged and thinking, you know what, are you sure about this? Because everything's at stake and we are a very prestigious family and we do get it from the media. So are you 100% sure that this is what you want? Take your time. Why do you think Harry took umbrage to that? And finally, isn't this an absolutely golden cherry on top of the cake that the Finding Freedom book admits that Meghan Markle used paparazzi, walks and pap shots, dial-a-pap, and also leaked stories to the press. It's just mind-blowing, isn't it? I'd love to know your thoughts on everything that I have covered. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the notification bell, and also that like button. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of my followers for all the tips and all the emails, DMs that everybody sends to me. It really is greatly appreciated. So thank you very much for watching once again.